What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to the latest Liverpool transfer news updates, and in this video we will talk about a very big update on the Bruno Fernandes to Liverpool transfer story, because there are some reliable news, reliable information coming out that Liverpool bid £54 million for Bruno Fernandes, and apparently Sporting Lisbon will accept it. And also Liverpool made the Rafa Camacho deal with Sporting to basically soften their stance on selling Bruno Fernandes. We sold Rafa Camacho to Sporting basically as a kind gesture to them. And Twitter user Jürgen has a very specific and very detailed transfer update on this story, and apparently he has some insider information on this transfer deal. So I want to share this insider information with you guys because it's oddly very specific. So if this is made up, this is one of the most incredible made up transfer stories, but I think it's so oddly specific that I kind of leaning on towards believing it, because it's a very detailed and very specific transfer update. So let me tell you guys this update. So guys, if you enjoy these transfer news updates, please leave a like. It just takes a second for you guys and it really helps me out and makes me more motivated to bring you even more videos in the future. And to subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you never miss a future upload. So according to this insider source, Liverpool's first bid of £40 million has neither been rejected or accepted by Sporting, because as reported there is a clause in place that essentially means that if Sporting were to reject an offer of 31 million or more, then the club will need to pay a fee of 4.5 million directly to Bruno Fernandes, directly to the player, as a penalty or a bonus. Because Liverpool were the first club to become acutely aware of this clause, and they took full advantage of it by submitting a low fee of £40 million to test the waters basically. The club then went as far as agreeing personal terms with Bruno Fernandes' agent last week in an informal attempt to force Sporting's hand. But when that failed, they struck the Camacho deal in hopes that it would soften Sporting's stance a little. Now this is where the transfer story becomes interesting, because as far as we know, Manchester United has seemingly little to no interest in Bruno Fernandes until only about a fortnight ago. Fernandes' agent used this buffer period between the first bid and the Camacho deal to basically shop around for his client and see what other clubs were interested in him. So Man United and Tottenham became involved in the transfer negotiations, and Sporting opened up to the idea of negotiating with outside parties because they were frustrated and also aggrieved by Liverpool's refusal to really increase the 40 million bid significantly. Man United, as far as we know, are still yet to make a formal bid for Bruno Fernandes, probably because of what United are calling in private a Liverpool tax, which means that Man United are more willing to pay a fee closer to Sporting's own valuation of Fernandes. It would mean, if accepted, Sporting would lose out on close to £5 million anyway, because they would have then to reject Liverpool's first bid, hence why they are adamant that Manchester United paid his release clause in full, which is £71 million. The price that Liverpool were initially being quoted as a 66.5 million has just became 5 million more expensive for Man United, meaning that United will have to pay 5 million more than Liverpool because of Liverpool and because of this incredibly interesting clause in Bruno Fernandes' contract, that if Sporting reject the first offer, they have to pay Bruno Fernandes almost 5 million. Obviously Man United are not too excited about this prospect, so Sporting began these discussions with Man United before the Camacho deal was finalized. Reports of Man United now being the front runner for Bruno Fernandes are actually a little misleading in this regard, because Liverpool and Sporting were locked in a standoff prior to Man United entering the race. But Sporting were hoping that Man United may persuade Liverpool to actually make a bigger or higher bid, because they would still rather only negotiate with one club so as to avoid being almost 5 million out of pocket. An increased offer is still yet to be made, however, which is the main source for confusion in the English media, and it's very likely that Michael Edwards was calling Sporting's bluff during the standoff. That was until the deal for Camacho, and this is where it gets very interesting, because the final sum for Camacho ended up being £3 million less than the figure Liverpool originally wanted. And it looks like Liverpool reduced their asking price for Camacho by around 2.5 million, because Sporting, if they reject the first bid and pay 4.5 million the clause to the Bruno Fernandes because of that contract clause, that was to sweeten the transition for Sporting, and that was done by Sporting partly as a gesture of goodwill by Liverpool and also to improve relations between the two clubs. So that was done by Liverpool as a kind of a gesture of goodwill to Sporting and also to improve relations between the two clubs, but also as a personal thank you from Sporting to Fernandes for his service and loyalty to the club. Basically, Sporting, by not terminating his contract on grounds for just cause last summer during the Sporting player incident where the players were attacked in the training ground, Bruno Fernandes almost single-handedly kept the club from sinking further below, because they were in massive trouble. A lot of high-profile players left, and the Sporting were very concerned about Bruno Fernandes, because this was their most valuable player. But he renewed his contract out of loyalty, and then he went on to have the best season of his career, scoring 31 goals and getting like 15 or 16 assists as well. And Sporting feel that the 4.5 million bonus is the least the player deserves for his services and dedication to the club in a time of a big crisis. And Liverpool were also happy to go along and informally pay half towards the clause in the form of reducing Camacho's asking price by around £2.25 million. So again, as a gesture of goodwill, but also to sweeten the transition, Liverpool won't even need to log it into their books, because they won't have technically paid anything. It also gives the player and his family a nice little kickstart to help towards moving to another country. And Fernandes has now concluded his short trip to Dubai. He has been on holiday there, and now he is expected to finalize his contract with Liverpool over the next coming days, and the terms in which have improved since Man United's involvement. So it looks like he's getting a bigger weekly wage and probably bigger bonuses because of Man United's involvement. And Liverpool will submit a final bid of around 54 million plus add-ons, or they already submitted that according to this report like yesterday. And it's going to be very, very interesting, but it looks like, according to this insider information, this bid will be accepted by Sporting. And also because Liverpool lowered the asking price of Camacho, Liverpool also wanted to improve the relationship between Sporting and Liverpool. And I don't think Bruno Fernandes seriously would want to go to Manchester United, who are in the Europa League and who are in a massive rebuilding job, and they will be in transition for the next 2 or 3 years, which means Bruno Fernandes won't be playing in the Champions League if he signs for Man United. So I think that he will want to join Liverpool. He already said previously in some interviews that the Premier League is the league that he wants to play in sometimes in the future. And also he loves Sporting. He has been a Sporting player and a Sporting fan for many years, but now he wants a new challenge. And also he said that he prefers actually Liverpool's playing style of a very high intensity, high transitionally fast attacking football playing style, and he actually said that he prefers Liverpool's playing style to even Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. So if he has to choose which club to play for, he would select Liverpool ahead of Manchester City as being the most attractive club in terms of their playing style. So everything is pointing in the direction of Bruno Fernandes getting closer and closer to actually finalizing a deal with Liverpool, and I'm super excited for this because I think Bruno Fernandes would be a terrific player for Liverpool. Not since we sold Coutinho, we had a player who can score 10, 15, maybe even 20 goals from midfield. And imagine with Salah, Mane and Firmino up front and Bruno Fernandes from midfield, if he could chip in with just 15 goals next season, which I don't think is impossible. Bruno Fernandes scored 31 goals from midfield, and that's actually a world record from a midfielder to score 31 goals. I think Frank Lampard scored like 27 goals or something like that, like 14 years ago, if I remember correctly. And that was a record at the time, and Bruno Fernandes even bettered that. Yes, it was in the Portuguese league, which is not the best league in the world, but still to score 31 goals and get like 15 assists is an incredible achievement. That shows that Bruno Fernandes has one hell of a shot on him, one hell of a right foot, and I just cannot wait until he starts banging in the goals for Liverpool from outside the box. I have to be honest, when Steven Gerrard was playing for Liverpool, I loved him shooting from outside the box from like 25-30 yards and banging in some great goals or just making the goalkeeper work. I don't know why, but there is just something really special from a midfielder having a long range shot which could trouble the goalkeeper. And I will always remember Steven Gerrard's FA Cup final goal against West Ham in 2006 when he equalized in the 91st minute in stoppage time from like 30 yards, and the shot had so much power that Xhaka Islop, the West Ham goalkeeper at the time, had no chance to save it. That's the kind of special strike I'm talking about, and Bruno Fernandes has that in the locker. I'm not saying that he will be the next Steven Gerrard, of course, but what I'm saying is it will be so exciting to watch Liverpool play next season, even more exciting than it was last season. And believe me, last season was one of the most exciting seasons that I have ever witnessed, because Bruno Fernandes could shoot from like 20-25 yards and he could score a lot of goals, and I'm really looking forward to it. And now let's talk about Alisson. Alisson is set to become the first goalkeeper in football history to win the Golden Glove in each of the 3 major club and country competitions that he has entered, which is the Premier League, the Champions League and the Copa America, all at the same time, because he kept the most clean sheets in the Premier League, he kept the most clean sheets in the Champions League, and also it looks like he could keep the most clean sheets in the Copa America as well. He already has 4 clean sheets in the Copa America, and that's already a lot, and that is incredible. So he kept 21 clean sheets in the Premier League. He won the Golden Glove Award, which is awarded to the goalkeeper keeping the most clean sheets in the one season in the Premier League. In the Champions League, it's also incredible that he kept 6 clean sheets in 13 appearances. He played in every single game from the first group game up to the final, and that is ironically a statistic that he shares with Barcelona goalkeeper Marc-André ter Stegen, but Barcelona of course didn't make it to the final. And as I said, in the Copa America he already has 4 clean sheets, and this is a potential Golden Glove achievement, is an incredibly unreal statistic, and showcases just why Jurgen Klopp parted with 65 million pounds to sign Alisson, and he has been honestly one of the best signings in Liverpool's transfer history in my opinion. And I really hope that he keeps maybe one more clean sheet in the Copa America just to seal the deal and win the Golden Glove in the Copa America as well. And it looks like AC Milan could again approach Dejan Lovren for a transfer, or approach Liverpool rather for a transfer. According to Italian outlet La Gazzetta, AC Milan again want to sign Dejan Lovren. They have been interested in this transfer window before, but then it looks like they cooled their interest. But AC Milan are a little bit concerned that Liverpool want 20 to 25 million euros for Dejan Lovren. You know, Liverpool could lower their asking price. AC Milan really want Dejan Lovren, but they don't want to pay 20-25 million because they won't be playing in the Champions League, and it came out that AC Milan were actually banned from the Europa League because of financial fair play regulations not being kept. So AC Milan won't be playing in Europe, which means that they will have a big chunk of revenue taken out of their accounts next season. They will just earn a lot less money. It looks like it's going to be difficult for them to sign a lot of players for big money. Former Croatian midfielder Zvonimir Boban, who is now Chief Operating Officer for AC Milan, together with the club's new technical director, which is club legend Paolo Maldini. I'm sure you guys know all about him. And also, these guys are entering the market as they look to strengthen AC Milan. And they also want to find some players who are experienced, who could really help AC Milan get back into the Champions League. And AC Milan, I really think that Lovren wants a new challenge, a new stimulus by putting himself on the market. And considering that Lovren just made 18 appearances for Liverpool this last season, and also because of injury mainly, but because of how good Joel Matip has been, how good Joe Gomez has been when he was fit. And it looks like that Lovren might be actually tempted by AC Milan. I think Lovren is at age 29 where he realizes that he doesn't have a lot of years left in football, so he might want to go to a big club who will play him regularly, because at Liverpool he will be like at best third choice, but I think at the moment Lovren is actually fourth choice centre back. So that means that if either Matip or Gomez gets injured, the other will start next to Van Dijk, and Lovren will only play in some cup games and maybe in some lesser Premier League games. But I think that also poses a big problem for Liverpool, because if Liverpool lose Lovren, we need to sign another centre-back, because we need to go into the season with 4 very good centre-backs. We can't afford to lose Lovren and not replace him with another player. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And according to the Mirror newspaper, Lovren's representatives have met with officials from Milan, and also Calciomercato, the news outlet from Italy, back up this claim. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of transfer. It's going to be interesting to see whether Lovren really wants to leave Liverpool or he wants to fight for his place, because Lovren, if he stays at Liverpool, he could pick up a lot of trophies next season. But what is most important for him? Winning trophies at this stage of his career by just being on the bench and maybe playing like 20-30 games a season, or playing like 40 or 50 games a season but not winning many trophies at AC Milan? What is the most important for Lovren? He has to weigh that up and think it through, really. And Liverpool have a Brazilian who still doesn't have a work permit to play in the Premier League. This Liverpool midfielder is called Alan Rodriguez de Souza, or just Alan. He actually extended his loan deal at Fluminense in Brazil. And Liverpool signed this guy in September 2015 for just £500,000, but he has been sent out on loan to Centrudense, to Hertha Berlin, to Apollo Limassol, to Eintracht Frankfurt, and to SJK, a Swedish club, I believe. And Liverpool are still trying to secure a work permit for the box-to-box midfielder. And at the moment, Alan doesn't satisfy the criteria to play in the UK. And it was hoped that regular playing time in the Bundesliga would tick the box by demonstrating that he has played in one of Europe's top leagues. But he just managed 4 appearances for for Hertha Berlin, partly due to injury and because his loan spell was cut short. So he moved to Fluminense 2 weeks later, and he started 10 of their past 13 games in all competitions. And it looks like that he will see out the rest of the season, and the Brazilian season closes in December. And at the moment I feel really sorry for this guy, because I think he could be good enough to play for Liverpool, but at the moment he just can't get a work permit, and the clock is ticking for him. And he's, as I said, 22 years old already, so he probably has maybe 1 more year to get the work permit. Otherwise, he will be sold to just another club, and then it's a big opportunity missed for him. And I feel for this guy, because imagine that you signed for Liverpool and you are so excited to play in the Premier League, to show Liverpool fans that you are good enough, and then you are not allowed to play for Liverpool for like 4 years. That must be very difficult to deal with. But good luck to him. I hope he makes it at some other club, because it looks like looks like a talented player. So that's it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Goodbye.